Hey everyone, and welcome back to Miranda Pitrone Art. I am redoing a couple of my older videos. Apparently this one, after almost 5 years of being on YouTube with the credits for the music, it has decided that I'm not allowed to use the music in the video anymore. So I always really love this stone, so I'm happy to go through it and kind of talk you through what I was doing here. And it was one of the first swipe stones that I put out there, so I really love the sand and sea combination of the paints on this one, and it just was really enjoyable to do, so it's kind of nostalgic going back over this one with you. So this is what it looked like finished. I collect a lot of my stones from Maine when we go to visit, but also Lake Erie provides a lot for me. So this stone is going to be shown being painted completely with an angled spot detailer paintbrush and Deco Art paints, and then I varnished it with Liquitex so you can see that shine there with the pop for the colors. The brush is available from Princeton and it is a size 10/0. So I'm going to start off with white, and I'm just going to make up where I want the center of my mandala here. And I'm just pushing it around into a circle that gives me my dot there for the center. Next up is light tan. And I'm just going to do the 6 dots. And then around that we're putting cocoa. So really you can see I'm just dipping and just pressing down lightly. I kind of paint them into a little bit of a circle, and the larger you go you'll have to put a little more paint on and add on to that circle. So this is a light burnt umber, and then after that is a dark chocolate, this one was. So see how it gets bigger, I'm just pushing it into a circle. Don't press down too hard, it'll be a bigger circle. So to fit it here in between the dots, I'm just gently pushing down. So this dark chocolate was actually one of the metallics, now that I'm looking at it. This is a fine liner brush that I did happen with. Arteza has a couple of these where they're just fine point liner brushes, and I can put all these in the description as well. I don't know that I ever even had them in there because it's been so many years since I made this video. So we're just doing white down one side of those larger metallic dots. And with the brushes, you just kind of let up as you go around, and that gives you a smaller dot. So you start off by pushing a little bit harder, and you can use it with just the amount of paint that's on there, and then work your way around just by letting up as you go around. And you will get smaller dots. I know with the dotting tools you can just walk the dots out basically as the paint runs off the tool, so with the brush it's just a matter of pressure. And this is going to be a fun little spiral that you're starting off, and each round that you put on just bulks up the spiral a little more and more. I think we've done fireworks like this and a bunch of other ones for the design. So we're on the 3rd row of white. One of the fun things too about this is this natural stone is such an odd shape, but it's fun to try to fit designs into these shapes just to see what you can create. So this was the sky blue. It's just kind of a lighter blue. And this will have that ombre effect because we're going to start off light and go to darker. I still do this in some of my videos where I move the stone around so much I'm off the screen. But in the future videos too, I found a Lazy Susan, a mini Lazy Susan that is very helpful, helps you spin the stone, makes it easier to see each section. It just overall in general helps with decorating each stone. And hopefully I'm more cognizant of not moving the stone off the screen, off the camera. Back in these days it was on my phone. Okay, so this was a straight up bright blue. And I kind of had the sand and sea palette going with this one. They're just great colors that go together. And you can see that kind of pinwheel effect is happening as we bulk up, but you're just stacking them on top of one another rather than having it be on an angle. We're literally stacking at the top of each one and then just dotting until we get down to the base. So this one is a little bit darker. This was a slate blue, has a little bit of gray in it that you can see. And as you can see off to the side with my brushes, I'm not always like rinsing in between everything. I just wipe it on a paper towel or a baby wipe, and then we load it again and go for it. The brush was giving me a hard time, I think I remember, so I switched back to the angle spot detailer. And this is all, there's only one size of this paintbrush, so if you see bigger dots, it's because I've overloaded the paint or you're just painting a bigger circle. There's no larger sizes like the dotting tools. And this again is just pressure. I loved this brush when I first found it too, just because the angle actually inspired me making the angled dotting tools. So this, I called them swipes. A lot of people call them swooshes now, I guess. So I started calling them swipes. I was educated by some art majors that apparently it is called a comma stroke if you do shorter ones. And some people started doing it with the dotting tools. They called it a dot drag out. So no matter what you call it, I think it's just a fun addition to kind of break up the dots pattern. And so this is just back to the white. So we started with white in the dots, and now I'm starting with white with the swipes around the dots. And again, the swipes are just a pressure thing too. Push down harder at the top and then let up for the tail, which over the years I've gotten a little better at doing it. But you can always just fill it in here. And it actually looks like, now that I am looking at this again, it might have been a kind of a creamy beige, the initial one, or a vanilla, and then this swipe is white. I mean, it doesn't matter. Every time you change a color combination, change the shape of what you do, you're getting a new mandala each time. It's super fun. It's a relaxing time to just enjoy what you're doing. But I think now too you can start to see where the fireworks idea comes in. So also I just want to point out that you just take your time when you're pulling the paint out into any shape, even with the dotting tools. So swipe, swoosh, all those. I know I've said it before, but it sounds fast and it looks like it's done quickly, but really if you just take your time and keep your hand steady and just drag it out, the paint will follow. It's kind of like you keep it so that you're wicking it to the surface, if that makes sense. So it keeps your tool, your paintbrush, whatever, connected, and it drags the paint out for you into that shape. I mean, you have to have a little practice to do it, but eventually you'll get the hang of it and it will just become second nature. You just pull it into that shape, but you don't have to do it fast. It can just be a calm, enjoyable time. So this again was that sky blue. So I just want to kind of confess too, I slowed this video down a little bit now from the old one. So if you've seen the version with the music, I did do it faster, but in order for people to learn, you just take your time, do it slower. But just so you know, if somebody's seen the old one, I wanted to just kind of say, hey, here it is. And I'm off the screen again. There we go. But you can see too, the ombre effect is just so much fun to work with, going from light to dark, reutilizing those colors and carrying them out again into the swipes from the dots. I just think this was such a lovely design. I really enjoyed this one. And see, I'm just dipping it in the palette and dotting it over here. And it looks like I went off the screen again. But you get the idea. So now I'm just showing you the bottom space here. I'm just going to take white and kind of do one of those S scrolls. Just kind of give it a decorative curl, but this is something you can do in utilizing the excess space on a stone if you don't know what to do in that space. Just add some vines, add another little design, just add into it and help kind of just not take away from the main mandala, but just kind of accentuate the colors that you used in it. Alright, so just gonna finish up this scroll here. But you can see how it's a fun thing just to do in the extra space. You can still do mandalas on stones that are not perfectly circular. Just add a little flair off the side. And this is just letting up on the pressure on the brush to get smaller dots. And then you see you have a nice little flower licking pattern. So I think just kind of to bulk up the scroll a little, I decided I was going to put the cocoa color in between. And it's not something, you don't have to fill every space with dots. This is just to kind of make it a little thicker. And actually, now that it's getting closer to the tail here as I'm watching it on the screen, it looks like it might be gold. I used another metallic. Like I said, these older videos, it's tough to tell because I was doing it on my phone And this was so old, YouTube has started to kind of delete descriptions. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I'm gonna have to go back through all of them and check them out. So I hope you enjoyed this. I ended up putting it on a stand with some flowers, but I did some other ones at the same time using similar colors. Just had some fun, but this is just a plate stand. I like to display a lot of my stones this way. And I hope you enjoy more of my videos. Stop in, say hi, let me know how you liked this release of an old stone. Bye for now.